All right, well, hi everybody at YouTube, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of the lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. I'll be kind of doing two things right now at the same time. First of all, I will be answering some questions that have been posted online from various students all over the world about TOEFL preparation. Secondly, I'll be grading some speaking practice tests that were submitted by some of my online TOEFL course students. And finally, anybody at YouTube who actually joins this live stream, they will also be able to ask questions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So far, I think we got at least one person who's watching this one. I'm going to say something to this person right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to go over to my email and I'm going to take a look at some specific questions that have been posted from various students. Okay, so give me a quick second here. I'll show you what my first question of the day is. Okay, I got that. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually delete the video part here, and I'm going to add what's called a screen capture. Okay, here we go. Let me make this bigger where we can see. So you should be able to see now at YouTube what this actual question is. So here's the first question of the day. It says, I have 1 year for TOEFL. How can I study for getting 80 or above? P.S. My English level is intermediate. Write your answer. Okay. So what I want to do is to suggest a 1 year study plan to score 80 or higher. That's what I'm going to call this particular part of the discussion. Now, let me take a look here just to be safe here. I want to make sure I know when this part of my video starts because I'm going to tell the people at Core when to look. So, at about 3 minutes into the video, these students need, this is where they want to go to get this answer. Okay, so here we go. So first of all, I think before you get into a good, I'm going to give you some suggestions. So your English level is intermediate, but that's probably not enough. I think it's important. I think my first suggestion is to complete a TOEFL level full-length practice test at ScoreNexus or any website that you feel offers high-quality TOEFL practice tests. That's really my first suggestion. Is it's good before you get into a study plan, you should take a 5-hour TOEFL practice test so you can see your overall score, you can see your subtotal scores in the reading, listening, speaking, and writing, right? And once you do that, then you want to email me. This is pretty much as specific as we can get. You're going to I want you to send an email to me and let me know what your results are. So I'm interested in really two types of comments from you. First of all, I'm interested in knowing what your score is on the 5-hour full-length practice test. You can take it at ScoreNexus or some other website. It'll cost you between $30 and $40. So once you're done with that, you're going to email me. So tell me what your overall score is, and then tell me what your subtotal scores are in the reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Now, once you do that, you want to remind me that your goal is to score 80 or higher. Now, based on that information, I will suggest a study plan for you to help you score higher than 80. And my study plan will take into account what your current abilities are, where your score is right now, where you want to be, and then my study plan will help you based on that information. So that's my 3-step guide to you to help you score higher than 80. Meanwhile, find all opportunities, every opportunity you can to study English as much as you can. Right? So those are my suggestions for you there to score higher than 80. And I will be very specific, I promise you. I'll be very specific in the study plan I offer you. So if you're lower in the speaking and writing areas, I will give you lessons and practice exercises to help you more in those areas. However, if you need more help in the reading and the listening parts of the course, I will also suggest lessons accordingly. And that is a 3-step study plan to help you score higher than 80. All right, so I think we're good there. Okay, now I want to move ahead. I'm going to go back to video here for just a minute. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I've answered that question. Now let me go back to Quora. I'm going to go back to Quora.com and look at what this next question is. So give me a quick second. Okay, so for the next one, let me take a look at what this one is. So I'm moving on. I'm going to go to another question here. Okay, this one I just answered. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to go back to screen capture in just a minute here. We're going to take a look at the second question that was submitted to me over the last 24 hours. Okay, so okay, let me go back here. Okay, so I got it. Okay, now we're going back to screen capture. Actually, give me a quick second. I need to go back to... Okay, this is the actual... I want to make sure I get the question right here. Okay, here we go. Got it. Alright, let's take a look at the next question here. So you can see it here. It says, what is the best way to prepare for an essay-based exam? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus this on preparing for the TOEFL IBT writing exam, right? Because it is an essay-based exam. There's 2 different writing tasks. You have the first task, the integrated writing task, then you have the independent writing task. So then the question is, well, how to prepare for these types of examinations? All right, so I think I can answer this question. Okay, first of all, it's important to understand during the integrated writing what you're actually being asked to do, right? So what I'm going to do, I will recommend how you can use my online TOEFL course to help prepare you for the essay-based exam. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the listening and the reading parts of my course. Now, if you do not want to join my online TOEFL course, that's fine. You need to find listening and reading materials, right? So here's what you want to do. You want to listen to the lectures and really focus on taking down notes, right? And I'll say two things here. And these suggestions will help you, no doubt, prepare. Okay, so first of all, listen to listening and reading passages. Number 2, take notes on the main and the most important parts of these passages, right? So you want to do that also. That's going to be very, very helpful. And then I'll make the third suggestion. Based on your notes, write 3 to 5 summaries weekly. Each of these summaries should be approximately 250 words. That's the first thing you can do. It's very important now. If you're using my online TOEFL course, I know a lot of students on YouTube are watching my videos. There are also students in my online course, so I'm going to make this suggestion. Obviously, when you go through my listening practice test and my online TOEFL course, you can answer the comprehension questions. But you can go beyond that by taking down notes and then writing summaries of these passages. You can do the same thing with the reading passages. I promise you, this will help you for integrated writing. Now, the next thing is at my website or any other website that allows you to do integrated and independent writing practice tests, you should be completing, in addition to what I've already suggested here, complete maybe 2 to 6 writing practice tests weekly. In this case, you're actually getting feedback from a TOEFL IBT writing specialist. Now, why is this important? So I want you to think about something for a minute. Okay, first of all, actually, let me go to Google here. And let's take a look at let me try this out. So I think because I changed the screens, I need to do something. Give me a quick second here. First of all, I want to find something at Google. Okay, I'm going to type in TOEFL writing rubrics. Let's take a look at this. Got them. Now let me go back to another source. Okay, here we go here. I want to take a look at this now. This is important. Now remember my suggestion of completing independent and integrated writing practice tests? You see what I'm saying? So you want to make sure, and let me go over here. Okay, so you'll actually, wait a minute. These are the wrong ones here. I got it here. Okay, we're good. We're back on the writing here. Okay, so let's take a look at this for a minute. Now you'll notice, if you look at the scores for the integrated writing rubrics, you need to get some feedback from a TOEFL IBT writing specialist so you can begin making adjustments with your writing. So you'll get a score when you do writing practice tests. For example, if you're using my online TOEFL course, you will get scores based on 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. So the question is, what is your score? And then why did you get the score that you did? Then you can make some adjustments, I think, with your writing. So that's why you consult with an IBT writing specialist. Now at my website, I actually offer a service I think is very, very beneficial. I will correct all of the errors in your independent or your integrated writing tasks for a fee. It's not free. If you want something that's free, you do not want my website. It is definitely not free. But I will give you comments. I'll actually rewrite your essay. I will tell you what you need to do to change your essay from whatever the score is that you got to getting a score of 5 out of 5 or 30 points out of 30. So I think a combination, what you're trying to do here, you're doing the suggestions I'm giving that you're seeing here, I'm outlining, and you're making sure you're getting writing feedback from a TOEFL IBT writing specialist, and little by little you will get better. Now let's take a look for the independent writing rubrics. You'll see here again 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. So again, why are you getting the score that you're getting? So if you get a score of 3, for example, it says addressing the topic and task using somewhat developed explanations. It means you need to develop your points a little more if you're getting a 3. Or it says connection of ideas may be occasionally obscured. It means if you're getting a score of 3 on the independent writing task, you need to organize ideas a little bit better. In addition, you also probably have some problems with sentence formation and word choice, or you have limited range of grammar and vocabulary. So once you know why you're getting the score that you're getting, then, for example, my students, they can go to specific lessons in my online TOEFL course to help address the weaknesses that they have. For example, if a student's having problems with organization, these students can go to my writing lesson number 8. Writing lesson number 8 tells them or teaches them how to organize ideas in a more coherent manner. Or, in another example, if my students are having problems with sentence formation or word choice, then they will go to the grammar part of my course and they will study certain lessons there in order to improve. So I think that is how my students actually get better. All right, so let's go back here. So I think here, now let me go back to screen capture, adding a source here. Right, so I'm going back to this specific one here. So what am I saying? In order to prepare, I think, for an essay-based exam, you're doing as I'm saying here. You listen to listening and reading passages, you take notes, and then you practice writing weekly summaries on that information. In addition, you complete at least 2 to 6 writing practice tests weekly at my website or any other website that allows you to get your writing practice test scored. Now remember, not all websites allow this service. They really don't. So you want to make sure that you choose a website that allows you to get your writing scored, and you can actually get feedback on your writing. And once you start getting those feedback, what you're doing is you review specific writing, maybe vocabulary and grammar lessons based on your weaknesses. And then I think little by little you will get better. Now thinking about that for a minute, I want to tell you a quick story. So let me tell you the story of Rasa. When I met Rasa, his writing score was 21 points out of 30 on the writing section for TOEFL, right? Now, 2.5 months later, right? 2.5 months later, he retook the TOEFL exam and he got a score of 29 points on the writing section. Now, I am not in any way saying that you will get exactly the same results as this student. I'm not saying that. Every student is different. We don't study the same. We don't work with the same intensity. and we don't have the same brains, obviously. So I'm not saying that anybody else would get exactly these results, but let me tell you what he did. So what Rasa did is he completed over 35 independent and integrated writing practice tests over a period of about 2.5 months. He took practice tests one after the other, week after week. He kept getting scores back from me. He kept making changes. He took more practice tests, and little by little he got better. Remember, if you practice at writing enough and you do it long enough, for a long enough period of time, you will see results. His results were dramatic. He was able to improve his writing score over from 21 to 29 points over a period of 2.5 months. See what I'm saying? So to conclude, I think these are some important things to consider when you're preparing for a writing-based exam like the TOEFL IBT. It's important, I think, to follow these suggestions, and I really believe if you can follow these suggestions, you will be able to make dramatic improvements in your writing. All right? So I think that's it. Okay, so let me go back to video. Okay, so I actually have one more question that I'm going to answer from Quora. Quora.com, if you've never been to Quora, check it out. Let me actually put this link. I'm going to put this link for you guys over at YouTube so you can check it out yourselves. Where is it? See if I can find it here. Yeah, let me check this out. Yeah, for some reason I cannot seem to find the YouTube area here. Give me a quick second here. I got to take a time out here. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay, I'm almost there. Give me a quick second. Let me go back to Video Manager. Then live stream. I think I got it. This should take me back to where we are. Yeah, we are still here. Okay, I think we're still here. Okay, so I accidentally deleted the live thing here. So let me go back to the actual question at Quora here. So what's the best way to prepare for an essay-based exam? I think I've answered this particular question, so I'm going to go to another one. Okay, got it. Now I'm going to switch this over to the screen capture here. Got it. So everybody at YouTube can see this question. So I get this question quite a bit. It says, how can I improve my speaking skills to be able to get a perfect score on the speaking section of the TOEFL IBT, right? So I'm going to say, first of all, In order to get a perfect score in the speaking, you need to maximize your exposure to the English language. Maximize, absolutely maximize it. What I mean is you need to get as much, you need to hear and read and see and communicate as much English as you can on a day-to-day basis, really almost all day long. You need to really be maximizing your exposure to the English language. This is very, very important, right? So you can maximize it by reading. 45 minutes daily, I think, is good. This is important. So you should be used to reading magazines, newspapers, and books. You should be reading this on a daily basis. You choose the materials, but you should be reading a lot. Now, you should also be practicing listening every day, maybe 30 to 45 minutes. I think it's also important. Now, in both cases, as you're doing the reading and the listening practice, you should be taking down notes. You should be taking down notes on the main and the most important supporting points of the reading and the listening passages. So taking notes becomes very, very important. Now, number 2, you should record yourself giving maybe 3 to 5 oral summaries weekly. Remember, these oral summaries are based on the reading and the listening passages that you are practicing, right? So you need to be used to talking about other people's ideas. That helps you for integrated speaking tasks number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Am I right? And you need to record yourself because you can listen to it later and you can pay attention to any possible problems that you're having in the, I would say, in the delivery, language use, or topic development areas. Now, number 3, you need to become familiar with the IBT speaking rubrics. You need to understand how you will be graded on this kind of speaking task. Right? Now, give me a second. I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to go back to Google for a minute. So let's take a look at them. So we need to take a look at the IBT rubrics for the integrated and the independent speaking rubrics. So if you want to get a score of 30 out of 30, number 1, you need to figure out what it is that you need to do, right? So number 1, delivery, as you can see here. And actually, let me go to, I'm going to open this up, go back. See this right here? Okay, what we want to do is take a look at this. I just went to Google and I typed in the IBT speaking rubrics. I just typed in the keywords and it took me to this particular web page. All right, so it says delivery. Delivery means pronunciation. Now, if you want a general description, it means a response fulfills demands of the task with at most minor lapses in completeness. It is highly intelligible and exhibits sustained coherent discourse. That's the general description. So delivery, you have a generally well-paced flow, speech is clear, it may include minor lapses or minor difficulties with pronunciation or intonation patterns which do not affect overall intelligibility. Right? You need to be able to do that. Now the next one, language use. The response demonstrates effective use of grammar and vocabulary. It exhibits a fairly high degree of automaticity with good control of basic and complex structures. Some minor or systematic errors are noticeable but do not obscure meaning. So you have good control of vocabulary and grammar. Now, topic development. Response is sustained and sufficient to the task. It is generally well developed and coherent. Relationships between ideas are clear or clear progression of ideas. right? So you need to be able to do these three things in order to get a score of 30 out of 30. It means you must get a score of 4 on all 6 speaking tasks, and that gives you a scaled score of 30 points out of 30, right? Now, in addition to that, you need to understand the integrated rubrics, and they are similar. So delivery is somewhat similar, so I'm not going to read that other than I will say it may include minor lapses, minor difficulties with pronunciation or intonation. Pace may vary at times as the speaker attempts to recall information. Overall intelligibility remains high. It means even though you're re-explaining ideas from a reading passage or a listening passage, you still are very intelligible in that manner, right? Language use, you have very good control of basic and complex grammar and also vocabulary. You don't have too many problems, and as it says here, they do not require listener effort or obscure meaning, any problems that you have. So topic development, your response presents a clear progression of ideas and conveys the relevant information required by the task. It includes appropriate detail, though it may have minor errors or minor omissions. Right? So again, this is what you need to do in order to get a score of 30 out of 30 on this particular speaking task. Right? So now I want to go back to the notes that I've been completing on this, so give me a quick second. I'm going to go back here. And we're back here, right? So once you're familiar with the IBT speaking rubrics, this is the part that nobody really likes to do, but you begin completing dozens and dozens of independent integrated speaking tasks. You can do this. Now, and you get feedback daily from a TOEFL IBT speaking specialist. You need to get that feedback. It's very important. A lot of students try to go it alone, and some students are successful in getting a score 30 out of 30. Not many, but the ones who do, most of them have been using English for 10 years, 15 years, 16 years. They've been speaking English all the way, since they were 5 or 6 years old. So most people don't have that kind of time. A lot of the students that I work with in my online TOEFL course, they haven't been speaking English for that long, but they still want to get a high score. But after they're familiar with the rubrics, right, they start completing dozens and dozens of independent and integrated speaking tasks. They get feedback. And remember, a TOEFL IBT speaking specialist, it takes us some time to figure out exactly what your weaknesses are. So what are the problems? What are the delivery? What are the language use? What are the topic development problems that are bringing the score down? That's what we have to figure out. So usually, after you've completed about 5 or 6, 7, maybe 10 speaking tasks, we become more familiar with what your problems are, and then we can even recommend specific practice exercises and lessons to help you get better, right? So then, I'm going to go to point number 5. So in order to get that score, once that you complete these independent and integrated speaking tasks, you review specific lessons and exercises on your speaking weaknesses. This is really what you have to do. Now, you guys, in just a few minutes here, I'm actually going to grade some independent and integrated speaking practice tests that were submitted by some of my students. So you will review specific lessons and exercises based on your speaking weaknesses, and it's based on the feedback that you're getting from your TOEFL IBT speaking specialist. Again, My online TOEFL course, here's my basic rule. You can complete one practice test daily. You can send it to me. I'll evaluate it. I will send you back about 6 to 7 minutes of audio comments. I will tell you what your score is. I will tell you specific problems with your delivery, language use, and topic development. In many cases, I will recommend specific lessons that you can take in order to improve your speaking abilities. And that's how it works. And I'll be honest with you, it is a battle. A battle. Some of my students, even to get 26 out of 30 on the speaking, it may take some of my students anywhere from 1 to 3 months before they can reach that goal. And of course, it all depends on what their abilities are when I first meet them, and then that depends how far I can take them. So if somebody who joins my online TOEFL course, for example, if their speaking score right now is already 26 to 28 points out of 30, then it probably will not take me too long to help them get to a score 30. However, if their speaking score right now is around 20 or 21 points, and they want to get 30, now that may take 4 or even 5 months of practice. This person will have to practice and submit hundreds of speaking practice tests. And gradually, the student gets better. All right? And then I will say 6. Follow these steps until you are consistently getting scores of 4 on your speaking practice tests. So once you're specifically getting a score for every one that you submit, and you keep getting scores of 4, 4, 4, 4, then that probably means you are ready. Now, what I would do as a last resort, I think to my students, I always like them to get a second opinion. So they've been submitting practice tests for me, and I will contact another website. Probably there's a website called ScoreNexus, and I will tell my student, I will say, I want you to go over there. You can also complete some speaking practice over there, and you have to pay some additional money. But it's good to get an independent opinion outside of the IBT specialist that you're working with. So then you have 2 different people independently saying that your score is around 4. Then you can invest the $200 in the actual TOEFL exam and then take the test. Remember, the TOEFL is very expensive. It's $200 in many locations now, so you want to make sure you're not wasting your money. All right, so then, to conclude this part of the video, so in order to improve speaking skills to get a perfect score, I recommend following these 6 steps. Maximize exposure to the English language as much as possible. Number 2, record yourself giving 3 to 5 oral summaries weekly based on the reading and the listening passages that you're practicing. Number 3, become familiar with the IBT speaking rubrics. You want to do that. And then you start completing dozens and dozens of independent and integrated speaking tasks, and you get feedback daily from a TOEFL IBT speaking specialist. Then you review specific lessons based on the feedback that you're getting, and you keep completing practice tests until you are scoring consistently above 4.0 on the speaking. And that means that you are now ready to invest the $200 in the actual TOEFL exam. All right? So I think we got to move on. Okay, give me a quick second here. I'm going to go back to video for a minute. Okay, so, and let me take a quick look over at YouTube, for example, at my live dashboard here. Okay, I'm going to take a look at a couple of questions here. Okay, so Basam, and how are you? You say, I mix up the grammar when I speak on the TOEFL test. In addition, I'm nervous when I speak because of the time. It's normal, Basam. Everybody has that problem. So if you're practicing and you're recording practice tests over a month or 2, and you've done maybe 50 or 60 speaking practice tests, you will overcome these problems. Now, let me tell you a quick story. I had one of my students from Japan about 3-4 months ago. what she did is she took 40 minutes every time she completed a practice test on my website. She would take 40 minutes to write the whole thing out. She would write it out. She would correct it. She would make the grammar better. She'd make it better organized. She'd add more specific detail. She would take 40 minutes to complete one practice test. Then she recorded for me. I would give her feedback. She did that for 2 months. She took 40 minutes of practicing just to get it ready for me to listen to. Now, what do you think happened after 2.5 months of doing that? She took the speaking section, or she took the TOEFL exam. She got 28 on the speaking. Now, why is that? Because during the speaking section, you only get 15 to 20 seconds. You certainly do not get 40 minutes of preparation before you complete a practice test. But remember, all of that time that she took to prepare her responses helped her get better control of her vocabulary and her grammar. And she did much better. She was a lot less nervous. She was more confident, and she had excellent control over her vocabulary and her grammar by following that routine. All right, so I know you only have 20 seconds. I understand that, but if you take more time in the long run, you will get better and better, and pretty soon you will be able to record your responses in those 20 seconds. All right, now I apologize, you guys. I need to leave. I have to go to dinner with my wife. She just went in here and told me we have to leave, so I'm going to answer one more question here. Is this, how much do you charge for TOEFL preparation on your website? Good question. I have one of the most inexpensive websites on the internet, and I have the best feedback on the internet. Now, there's other feedback in other locations, but you will not get as good a feedback as I give you. So it costs $45 for 1 month of access to my online TOEFL course. $45. What can you do during that 30 days? You can send me speaking practice daily for $45. I will listen to your speaking practice test on a day-to-day basis. I'll give you feedback, and you can also send me one writing practice test every day. At no extra charge, I will score your speaking and your writing practice test. Now, for the $45, I'm talking to the JS as your username. I will not correct all the errors in your writing. I cannot do that for $45. It is simply too time-consuming, but you will get scores every time you do a speaking and a writing practice test. All right? So you say I have only 20 days to prepare. I apologize, you guys. I'm going to have to end this video at this point, but thank you for watching and for checking out my live stream at YouTube. Remember that there's a lot of websites out there for TOEFL preparation, but think about this. I have 22 years of experience. You can tell. Look at my head here. See how bald I am? I'm 50 years old. What does that tell you? That tells you I've scored more than 7,000 speaking practice tests over the last few years. I have read and scored thousands and thousands and thousands of writing practice tests. So I'm very familiar how you can get higher scores of both of those. So in conclusion, I just want to say all the best to your high-scoring TOEFL success.